The best handball players in the country make their way to the best outdoor three-wall park around for a showdown in the desert. The WPH Outdoor Three-Wall Clark Park is the venue as Killian Carroll, Sean Lenning, Luis Cordova, Shorty Ruiz, David Fink, Leo Canales, Dylan Hernandez, and more battle for the title of the WPH Icebreaker Challenge champion. The men's and women's players battle each other and the Arizona sun. We're going to find out who can take the heat and who can come out on top. The World Players of Handball Outdoor action starts right now. We're back at Clark Park for the WPH Outdoor Three-Wall Icebreaker Challenge. This is the women's semifinals between Ashley Moler and Tracy Davis. My name is Dave Vincent. We have, to my right, David Fink.
Thanks, Dave. It seems like Ashley and Tracy face off in every single tournament.
That's true.
It's either in the quarterfinals or the semifinals or the fifth place or the third place, but they find their way against one another, and here they've done it in the opening round here at this icebreaker number 7. And almost every match goes to a tiebreaker. If they play to 25, it's 25-23 or 26-24. So I think we can safely predict a tiebreaker here.
Before it even starts, we already know what the score is. I mean, have we watched them play three-wall before on camera? I don't remember doing any of their matches outdoors. Maybe in Vegas.
I would say yes, in Vegas. Big ball for sure. Not sure about small ball. Tracy Dave is known for her gregariousness and also her fitness. She hosted a WPH Wednesday workout, which I know that our fans loved. Received a lot of positive comments on that. What a shot there from Dr. Ashley.
I'm not one of these people that have a life coach, but if I did, Tracy Davis would probably be it, and in reverse.
In reverse, you'd be hers?
Yeah, I mean, we talk all the time about political things, personal life. She's actually one of my closest friends. Text, I would say, almost daily.
And just to be a little bit more clear, how many texts does she send based on one question that you ask her?
23.7.
Okay.
I have it broken down, and that ball was perfectly placed. But she's a fan favorite, and she's an icon in the sport.
Yes.
And we're lucky to have her here in this tournament.
She told me before this match, I am so nervous. I used to come to these tournaments when I was younger and just be so excited. Now I'm just so nervous. And I think you're seeing that right now. She's quickly down 6-0, but you're also seeing that Dr. Ashley is a very fast starter.
Right.
She blitzed Mikaila 21-0 in the first women's icebreaker. Now she's up 6-0. And that's why you do that invisible jump rope, Dave. You want to be ready when that first ball is struck, because you can gain a huge advantage. If your opponent's planning on working her way into the match and you're all set, you're in mid-match form, you build a big lead, and that's hard to overcome. It's like my good friend Andre Agassi, Dave, wrote in his book that he's ready to play from the very first ball. There's no feeling out process.
And that's the way it should be.
Right.
If you can get yourself into that place. A lot of players can't, though.
Right.
Warm-ups is warm-ups, and then playing is playing, and they can't get focused enough in the warm-up. You know, it's almost better to just have a side match where you actually take it pretty serious and go in and try to win that side match.
Dropping the ball and hitting it is not quite the same as live action. I agree with you.
Well, if you were one of those race boat drivers, it's the equivalent of just going and taking a bath versus going in and actually driving your boat across the water.
Okay. Okay.
Thank goodness the park allows us to have our pets with us, because I'm holding on to my dog across my lap as I do this live broadcast. Now, you can blame that on age and say I'm getting older and this is just what happens, but
this is nothing new, though.
That's true.
Now, for some reason, Tom Daniels is not allowed to bring his dog to the park.
But I can bring mine.
Right.
Well, the problem is Tom Daniels' dog likes Tom Daniels. Let that sink in just a little bit. Until then, though, this match is featuring some crisp handball here.
These are both former three-wall national singles champions. And I would say if you ask both of them, Dave, they would say that that's their favorite title. That's the most important title they've ever won. Tracy with 11 one-wall singles national titles, but she worked so hard to get that three-wall title.
Yeah, I agree.
She'd come up short so many years against Megan Dorniker, and to finally overcome her, and I think what was her greatest achievement.
Well, Ashley has one, but she should have had two.
Right, losing 11-10 in one of those finals to Hillary Rush.
Had a big setup late in that one. Remember that miss where I'm still cringing for her. Had to give her the serve to win the match. Don't forget, for a very long time, when we had the outdoor rankings for big ball, now wall ball, Ashley Moler was number one for a large period of that very beginning of that tour, and she faced everybody back then. So she knows her way around the court with the big and the small ball.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, Tracy has won those same type of tournaments. She didn't get ranked number one, but she's won a big ball tournament. Outdoor three-wall. One of the Vegas things that we did.
Really? And you have a year on that? Was this
on the employee courts?
Employee court tournament? Okay.
You know, on the backside.
Oh, I do know them.
Okay.
Yeah, I know them well.
Let's just move on.
I don't think I want to.
I think she has one, though, right? Doubles, at least.
Okay.
I didn't say it was singles.
Okay.
Sandy Ing and her? No? I'll be here if you need me. Sounds like you don't. Sounds like you don't need me.
I definitely would agree with the doubles.
Okay. Look
And
at
that
this
is
ball.
a hard D, the doubles, right?
Yeah, that ball stays in.
Speaking of those employee courts, Dave, I had a 2-hour layover in Vegas one time, jumped in an Uber, got to the courts in 25 minutes, played Joe Harris 4 games, Ubered back, and missed my flight.
Wow.
Yeah.
Was it worth it?
Well, I only had to spend the next 14 hours in the airport, so yes, it was.
Why was the layover in Vegas? And where were you at that had the layover?
I was going to Pittsburgh, routed through Vegas.
Oh, that's interesting, hub. Sounds like an old Dave Chapman trick where you book. Dave found the way of breaking the system by booking all of these one-ways because these towns would have these specials with Vegas.
Oh, okay.
So what he would do is he'd book a one-way to Vegas from whatever town he was in.
Stay
St.
for
Louis
3 weeks.
To Vegas. Then he would go get his bags. And then he would go from Vegas to, whatever the destination was.
Well, after spinning the big wheel
Right.
150 times.
I mean, he had a 27-day layover, but some of these cities have these $89 specials, one way to Vegas. And if you piece together a whole round trip, it might be $650, but with the way Dave did it, $49 for this leg, $69 for this leg. You add it together and it's
It's one spin on the big wheel.
Yeah.
I got it.
So Dave taught me that. Ashley Moler now serving to take game number 1 here. And it looks like she did it. Taking Tracy Davis. Here in the very first one, Tracy just not happy with herself, unable to get that ball back. Ashley knows these courts, gets that 15th point, and she takes game number 1. Game number 2, though, coming up right around the corner here. Clark Park is the semifinals. is underway.
You come into these events, Dave, if you're Tracy and you're so excited to be playing, nervous but excited because you haven't played in a tournament in more than a year, and that excitement quickly turns to disappointment when you drop that first game 15-4, making 10 errors along the way. And now she starts off game 2 with another error. Now Tracy and Ashley both wearing dark sunglasses here, and you can see the front wall, Dave, is still in the shade. And from my experience, Dave, when that front wall is in the shade, you don't pick up the ball nearly as well with dark sunglasses.
Yeah, I agree with that.
It's very strategic when to wear the sunglasses out here. And this time of the year, Dave, that front wall, I would say, stays in the shade just about for the entire day, right?
I would say it does, yeah, just with the way the sun's positioned.
I know in the summer and early fall, that front wall will be very bright as the sun is rotated.
Well, the Earth is actually leaning on its axis, and right now it's leaning to the point where the sun can't quite hit all of the court here, but as it leans back toward the sun, we're going to get this whole thing is going to be covered in sun, and that's where it's brutal. I mean, it's so bright you could hardly see it, even as a spectator, and as a player, it's even worse.
Speaking of the Earth's movement, Dave, there's an unbelievable astronomy stargazing at Lowe's, which I don't know if you've attended.
I have, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm into that sort of stuff.
Yeah, it was...
You got to see the rings on Saturn, the moons of Jupiter, and some of the nebulas that are out there.
I knew that everything Professor Bill Gates was saying, you already knew. And you and he would be the only two that would know.
Well, I'm into it. We have a pink full moon happening right now. Didn't really look to see why they called it the pink moon, although I will tonight when it happens. That's a great return of serve there from...
Well, that would have been way out, but it clipped the ceiling on the way down. Kept the ball in. Maybe that's the kind of break Tracy needs here. Tracy's unable thus far to have gotten her serve and shoot game going. That's what's made her so dangerous in all codes. And all the players know it. When Tracy gets that serve going, particularly down the right, very hard to return, and she follows it up with some amazing kill shots. And Dave, you've been on the receiving end of some of those great
her serve is so good.
Runs.
Yeah, and if you don't get that serve back, she has at least the mentality of going for it on that first strike. A lot of players have a good serve, but they don't have a first strike. She's got both. But you're right, we haven't really seen her rolling on that here.
Well, she's not hitting her sidearm power serve. She's hitting an overhand serve, which I think plays into Ashley's hands. Ashley's used to returning those overhand serves. Pretty skilled at it. You see, that's just not a very good serve from Tracy. Hitting the side wall just about 5 feet from the short line. Probably the worst serve you can hit in 3-ball, right, Dave?
Yeah, I think, because it's coming at a velocity, and that you can match that velocity and even pick up the MPH just a little bit on the return, and it makes it really difficult as a server if you have to defend that ball that's coming back a little faster than you hit it.
Ashley's been pretty dominant in this match. Wouldn't say it's so much her great play, but Tracy just hasn't been that sharp. But now Tracy leads 5-3 after dropping the first game 15-4. And this is very similar to what we've seen in their past matchups.
Ashley taking a page out of your book, just running back and grabbing it so nobody else has to touch it.
Yeah. And also not trying to swing and end up hitting it over the fence.
True. Yeah. But for you, it's just the fan interaction that you're trying to avoid more than it is. You don't live for it like maybe Ashley would.
I live for the anti-fan.
Well, at the previous tournament, I said to Ashley, tell us who you voted for president in between a tiebreaker match. Mm-hmm. You don't talk to somebody about politics in between a tiebreaker. Oh, well, I do.
That's a great serve. Tracy selling the serve to the left, which he's hit almost exclusively, and that time sneaks it down the right. Now I say sneak, but this is hit extremely hard. You see Ashley is banked over on that left side of the court. No way for her to get to that ball. Tracy now with a pretty comfortable lead here in game 2. And even when these ladies play games to 25, you'll see one of them up 16-4. Next thing you know, it's 21 all.
Yeah, that's true. I don't know if I've ever seen two that have been more equal than these two.
Right.
I mean,
And you can say that really about all the top American players. You talk about Suze Enteroth, Danielle. And these ladies, I mean, we saw them all go back and forth one season on the women's race where we had a different finalist in every event.
yeah, that's true. Yeah, I think we had 4, 5, 6 events in a row with a different final.
Right. Now, of course, the top bracket's always going to be the same.
Oof. Ashley made a decision and it wasn't the smart one.
Yeah, and that's what I mentioned, Dave, is that it's very hard to judge if these balls are going to be in or out. And you're upset with yourself when you let them bounce, but then again, you didn't have much of a play on it anyway. It's not like you could have done much with it.
Right.
So now Tracy looks like she's on the verge of forcing a third game here. Which, if it happens, Dave, would be the first tiebreaker in women's icebreaker history. Hasn't happened yet, but it would be.
Moler, I thought she just clipped a corner there, but...
Well, that's where the camaraderie comes into play.
Well, they both agreed, both shook their heads, and that's exactly what we're aiming for with that no referee thing.
It's not about the right call. It's about the camaraderie.
The friendship that you've created with what could be the wrong call.
Right. And that builds friendship more than anything. Agreeing on a wrong call.
It's going to be tough. That ball that goes up there deep. It's like Tracy's,
Oh, what a shot.
It's like Tracy's starting to figure out this court now.
Incredible shot there.
Davis up 12-4 here in game number 2 after losing the first one.
That's the second ball Tracy's floated over Ashley's head that landed just inside the back line with pace on it. I say floating, but that ball's moving. And Ashley just catches that one. That's part of the friendship. I know you would have just gladly accepted the second serve, not argued that it was your point.
Why would I argue? That's not in my nature.
Ashley with a nice fist there. Another fist. Love that view there.
Some aerial footage here from Russ Witten, allowing us to fly his drone.
That guy on the right has a terrible swing. Now Tracy sits at game point. These first 2 games, they've gone by very quickly. What, about 8 minutes each game?
Yeah, very fast. Yeah, that's about right. 8 minutes.
Tracy now with game point to force a tiebreaker. There it is.
Well, it was a good showing for Tracy Davis, who made a couple adjustments here, Dave.
Based on what we saw there, Dave, with Tracy's serve, now she's going to have to make some adjustments here in this third game. I know she'll sit down and talk to her team, see what her team comes up with.
Come on!
Nice shot right there, a little poke fist, I believe.
Yeah, Ashley hitting 3 very good shots in that rally. Now the players just waiting for this ball to be thrown back in. It was dropped 6 times by fans in the bleachers. What a serve. And this is kind of how momentum shifts. Tracy wins that second game 15-4. Now Ashley with a quick side out and an ace. And it's almost as though that second game never happened. Another good deep serve. Tracy caught in between there. I think she does the right thing there, Dave, trying to take it out of the air, but just doesn't get there in time.
I agree. It was smart to play it that way.
Both ladies playing really good ball right now. You saw Ashley play pretty well in the first game, Tracy in the second game. Now it looks like they're both at the top of their games. That's a tough return. Rare show of emotion there from Dr. Ashley, who is upset with herself. Tracy floated a fly kill into that right corner. Ashley's running in, but doesn't do enough to gain control of the rally.
Well, I heard just from her camp, took off my headphones for a brief second. I heard that Ashley's cramping. Now, I don't make excuses. I'm just telling you what I heard a spectator say or somebody that's in her camp. So.
Well, luckily, she's got one of the best camps in the sport. They come prepared with pickle juice, all sorts of electrolytes. Actually set up nicely for that.
Does pickle juice work?
I don't think so.
Well, people swear on it.
Mm-hmm. You see Ashley puts the downspin on that return, so she's just kind of snapping her wrist through the ball there. When the ball hits the front wall, it jumps down, making the fly kill opportunity almost impossible. You see the one-wall players, Dave, using that shot quite a bit, and I've seen the four-wall players learn that shot. Almost
I see why
slicing the outside of the ball. Basically hitting the ball at about 2 o'clock for a right-handed player. So when I say slicing, you're actually imparting side spin on it. Kind of the opposite of that inside-out serve from a right-handed player to the left from the left wall. Second serve now for Ashley. Tracy with a deep power serve attempt. Would have been good. Here's a second serve. Not an ace, but unreturned there from Ashley Moler. Now Tracy trails by 3. This is the tiebreaker, and Tracy with a terrible error off the side of her hand. That's caused by falling backwards and hitting with an open stance. And there's another error, this time from Ashley Moler with the overhand left. And that's the serve I thought we'd see more from Tracy Davis.
I agree.
Sliding a natural down the right. That time, Dave, Tracy goes with the sidearm natural to the left, but it landed too close to the sidewall, popped into the sidewall, and Ashley able to work her way into the rally and win it on the 12th shot of the rally. How does Ashley make that shot? And she makes it pretty consistently. Open stance, paddle, fly kill with the left. 2 inches high. And that's an amazing serve. Just hits her spot exactly where she was intending. And now Tracy has to second guess herself after being aced on a ball that hits a couple inches from the back line. She steps in, tries to take that ball out of the air, but unable to make the return. Ashley kind of running away with this tiebreaker now. Ashley seeking her second icebreaker title. This is the second women's icebreaker, so Ashley would be creating a dynasty here if she's able to win this one. I guess that was called a screen, Dave. I don't know. Wouldn't Ashley want to play that shot?
I think she would.
Right to her right hand with Tracy ducking and kind of out of sorts. I don't like that serve if you're a Tracy Davis fan. Natural into the sidewall makes for a pretty easy return.
Good return there from Ashley, popping that ball over to the right side. Tracy tried to short hop it.
Dave, you wouldn't believe if I told you how old Tracy Davis was, but how is it that handball players are able to maintain and stay at the top of the sport in their middle age?
Yeah, it's unbelievable. I think they start using their brain a little bit more when you get older. When you're younger, you're not always thinking first about your own body. I think Tracy says, that she's putting her body first, and her brain is so much smarter now, knows how to play the game.
I hear that, but I don't see a lot of difference in her game now than 15 years ago. See pretty much the same strokes.
Yeah, but you shouldn't. I mean, a lot of people just don't continue to keep playing the sport after a certain age. So she's finding a way to put it together, and that's the key, I think.
I think you just nailed it right there. You just keep playing and keep working out. Tracy lived in Tucson for a number of years, Dave, and these two played quite a bit then as well.
And they would split every time they played then.
Yes.
I mean, it's not like it's a new thing.
It's been an incredible legacy in Tucson for the last 50 years. Just seems like you've got great players coming into town, moving into town. So many great local rivalries, men's and women's. Starting with Vern Roberts and Fred Lewis. John Bike. Tracy and Ashley. Courtney. Is that good?
Yeah. I don't know if I've ever seen a crack
Right.
roll out like a mouse at 39 feet. Look at this right here, Dave. This is a 39-foot mouse. Bam.
That was in?
That was in.
Wow. Okay.
Unbelievable serve right there from Tracy Davis.
Another great serve, but Ashley finds a way to get that back.
And then Tracy makes the mistake, goes up to the roof.
And you felt like this was a moment where Tracy could kind of make a move, get herself back into this game, but it didn't happen there. Unforced air with an overhand right. And that's her bread and butter, the overhand right. That's a fist serve. Called good. What a first strike. First strike fly kill from Ashley gives her an 11-7 lead in this third game, going to 15, win by 2. The first 2 games were not close. This game you think will become close, but both players capable of making a run at any moment, as we've seen. There seems to be a different intensity, Dave, in 3-wall. Different than 4-wall, where, of course, the players want to win, but having more fun. Is that the outdoors? Is it they're just so tired from the heat?
I think it's more desperation because of the heat.
Okay.
Puts you into a different frame. It's more of a fight or flight mode with 3-wall than it is 4-wall. Or outdoor handball. You just know you have to compact your game a little bit more and be more intense. Especially when you're playing in this weather. I mean, you said earlier it was 103 on the courts. Now it's 111. I mean, they're just, it's like an oven. Ashley telling Tracy that was payback for that previous shot.
I was in.
So she said.
Another first strike fly kill from Ashley when she needs it most. Ashley wins that rally without having to take more than one step. Now 13-7, 2 points from this icebreaker final. I've given up on trying to call these balls in or out, but that looked in.
Well, and the replay always seems different than what we see live.
Yeah. Match point here.
Unbelievable, right? Now that means that Tracy Davis is in the final. Excuse me, is out of the finals. We kind of anticipated it would be a Tracy Davis versus Danielle Daskalakis final, but now we see Tracy is the first one to fall here.
In the third place final.
Well, yeah, okay. So we were right.
Yeah.
That's one way of justifying it. Tracy Davis losing to Ashley Moler, who is now in the final here at Clark Park. Thanks for tuning in.